The following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Let's Talk But No Politics Okay proudly dedicates all episodes to the loving memory of Constance Chirac, who was one of the biggest supporters of the show. And we like to say thank you for everything that you have done.
Oh, man, a line? Oh, good Lord. Oh, hey, buddy, excuse me. Is this the line for, okay, let's talk but no politics, okay? Okay? Okay. Huh. Well, who's the sponsor?
Hey, guys, we got a problem. Stores everywhere selling our clothes.
NFL Pro Line? Oh, great. Now everyone can look like us.
Big deal.
Who could ever pass for us?
Mrs.
Oh, gosh. What if they fool the press?
There I was, 4th and goal.
And when Pro Line's probably going to get them right on the field, right?
Maybe I'm taking this whole thing a little too serious.
Come on, we can take these guys.
Steve?
NFL Pro Line. Wear what the pros wear.
You feel like walking on the wild side?
Hey, Johnny, are you ready to talk about the pandemania in Urbania?
I sure am. Hopefully our Icebox is ready to play and doesn't want to be a cheerleader.
When you hear your name called, I want you to go over to Coach Butts, and I want you to pick up your jersey.
Those jerseys are so cool.
For everyone who has waited to be chosen,
Lewis.
but is still waiting.
Rivera.
For everybody who has dreamed of being somebody,
Scanlon.
but is still dreaming.
Walker.
For every person who only wanted that one chance,
For the rest of you,
but never got it.
I'd like to thank you for trying out.
Your day has come.
Let's kick some butt.
Are you ready for a miracle?
You killed them, Icebox.
Look, you berserko Barbie doll.
You can talk the talk, you walk the walk. Somebody call 911.
Warner Brothers and Amblin Entertainment present
Where in the hell do you get off trying to put together another team? Guys like you and kids like that, I mean, they can't help it. They're no good.
Rick Moranis,
Who are you, Vince Lombardi all of a sudden? It's Pee Wee football.
Ed O'Neill,
Oh my God, Coach is a vampire.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You'll never get anywhere treating your helmet like a lunchbox, son.
and a cast of small wonders
Timmy, I'm not sure, but I don't think that goes there.
in the story of a gridiron miracle.
League rules clearly state one town, one team.
Meet me at half court.
It's the 50-yard line, Dad.
Now, with a little professional help, they've got exactly 2 weeks to learn how to pass,
What a hunk. Hi.
catch,
Son, if you're going to cheat,
Win.
block,
Get the fear out of your eyes. Let's go. You got it, mate.
and kick butt.
Want intimidation? I'll show you intimidation.
Little Giants,
Do you like football?
No?
You want to play football?
No?
Great, you can be on our team.
heroes come in all sizes.
And if you haven't noticed, we are talking about probably the greatest and only little kid football movie that I could think of, Little Giants, with a great underrated fictional, and you just mentioned her, underrated fictional athlete in the ice.
Yes. Yep. Becky O'Shea, the Icebox herself, an incredible character in a movie just filled to the brim with memorable characters. And the Little Giants came out in 94, wasn't it? 93, 94, right in there. And that's, of course, the golden era for us, Andrew, when kids' sports movies were like they were coming out all the time. And I remember loving pretty much most of them. Like, Sandlot, you got Angels in the Outfield, Mighty Ducks, Rookie of the Year. You had a lot of Air Bud.
I do. Oh.
There's no rules that say a dog can't play basketball, Andrew.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie all the way through.
You're doing yourself a major disservice.
I don't think
we might have another Doug on our hands.
I don't think I ever want to watch that. Look, at least when you got me to watch Mac and Me, I was like, oh yeah, some nostalgic value. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is bad. Airbud, I just remember like
There's so
seeing
many,
it, going, no.
there's so many terrible decisions that characters make in that movie that are very detrimental to that poor dog.
And why is it the same ref in
I know.
every
Yeah.
single Airbud movie?
Man, it's work, man. It's work. But we're talking Little Giants.
Yes. I was just looking here because I got the Wikipedia page up in case I gotta jog my memory on something. You know, this did not meet its budget at the box.
Really?
$20 million budget, box office only $19.3 million.
This has definitely become a classic though, because like in just researching this movie, I mean, a lot of your like ESPN did a whole thing on it. A lot of your big, a lot of articles came out about it when it was like 20 years old. A lot of people really remember this movie very fondly.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like a hit because this is.
I wonder if it's one of those that was a hit afterwards, right? When it comes out on, for home box office. I bet for the house, like, DVD and video cassette back then. I bet this thing really, because we definitely watched this movie all the time when it came out like that. I remember watching it in school. I remember watching it at home with friends. Like I saw this movie multiple times as a kid.
I loved watching. I liked the fact that you could watch this in school. I remember watching this in like middle school.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It was one of those ones where, like you mentioned, Angels in the Outfield would be on the TV stand before everything was digital. And you're like, oh, what are you going to watch? And you're like, definitely Little Giants because it's much better. I was trying to see what the DVD sale or the DVD VHS sales, but it doesn't seem like I can find it. But I'm actually shocked because I hold this in high regard with Sandlot, Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, I was the one who brought this movie up to you to cover it, so I'm in the same boat with you. Even the annexation, I always say that word wrong. The annexation of Puerto Rico, the big play at the end of this game. I sent you a link of an article that was all about real NFL teams that used it as an inspiration for a real play.
Yeah, all started with in the Orange Bowl. In the like a national, it wasn't quite the national championship game, but it was with Tom Osborne running the famous fumble rooski.
Yeah. So let's talk about the cast. Let's start with the two head coaches, the brothers, the O'Shea brothers. First of all, the casting in this movie overall, fantastic, right? Yeah, chef's kiss. Mwah, mwah.
Or if not French kiss.
I don't know what you were doing.
A little out of it. If you haven't noticed, I'm drinking coffee. So
Andrew's trying to wake up. It's obviously Rick Moranis he can do no wrong for me. I love everything I've ever seen him in. Everything from this movie to Honey, the Kids Got Shrunk.
Is that like the ninja kicking?
To busting them ghosts, whatever he's in, he instantly becomes a very likable character to me. I will always salute at the statue of Rick Moranis for sure.
Yeah, considering this is our second Rick Moranis movie
in a row. Yeah,
we're not doing any Rick Moranis movies next month unless something crazy.
Unless he pops up in Son-in-Law. And I forgot all about it.
I loved Ed O'Neill because Ed O'Neill was not much of a movie star, but yet I think he was perfect for this part. Considering the Al Bundy character, I scored 4 touchdowns in one game for Polk High, but this kind of is a much cooler type of version of Al Bundy, I noticed, where he is a car salesman.
Yeah.
He actually went into the pros, Heisman Trophy winner.
The actor himself actually did all those things pretty much.
Yeah.
He was a football player in college. He actually did get drafted in NFL, but I don't think he ever actually played, but he did get drafted by NFL team.
Because he was drafted by the Steelers and he kind of was competing against probably the greatest defensive tackle of all time and Mean Joe Green, and then one of the other probably, I don't know if he's in, but definitely has a great argument of Hall of Fame and Elsie Greenwood on that steel curtain. So I don't see them keeping Mr. Ed O'Neill.
Well, that's sad, unless it's Jake Delhomme, I don't think anybody's can't be replaced.
He's up for the Hall of Fame this year.
Is he really?
He is a nominee for the.
Oh, he better make it or my heart will be destroyed.
I saw that, and you were the first person I thought of. I was like, oh.
I guarantee you I'm the only person who ever brings him up, but I just have such an affinity for him because that's when I got into the Panthers, is when he was the quarterback. But there's two, like, they played off each other so well. The other thing I really like too about this movie in general is even the characters, save for one, and I'll get to that one, but even the characters that come off like jerks, a lot of them have multifaceted sides to them. Ed's O'Shea brother, like you're kind of like, man, he really is a jerk, but he's not. He's just very competitive, and but like when he's with his niece, or when he tells that when he gets mad at Spike for the late hit and stuff, like he really shows like, hey man, I don't want to win like that. Like there's little moments really stand out to me. It really helps the character not seem like a complete jackass. So that's always good when they do that. There's a couple characters in there, like his assistant coach, what's his Butts? Ain't that his name? Something? Yeah. It's pretty funny when he's watching all the kids and he's like, man, what kind of play is this? But they're just standing. The kids are just standing around.
And that was just a great scene at all, because the way that Rick Moranis and that little kid called the cops.
Yeah.
And the whole, I don't think grown men should be prancing around in their underwear like that. And the kid's like, help me. And all of a sudden they just hang up and they're like, perfect, high five, we're out.
And they start this movie perfectly, right? With all the kids trying to make the Cowboys Pee Wee football team. And that gives you a really great way to introduce you to like, this movie is obviously one of those ultimate underdog tales.
Yes.
And this introduces you to these underdogs really quick. Icebox, you get to see she's obviously very good, but because she's a quote unquote a girl, she can't make the team. You got the pudgy kid, who of course is going to fart and eat a lot the whole movie. But he did have a great line at the very beginning where he gets tackled and they find his peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his helmet, and the one coach takes it away and he goes, my mother made that.
I love I think the best, my favorite part in that was with the Cheetos.
Yes.
He's like,
what kind?
Like, what kind of Cheetos? Crunchy or puffed? Wimp. Like, you're a wimp if you eat puffed Cheetos.
I was trying to remember what the crunchy Cheetos were.
There's a little I like crunchy Cheetos, so I'm not a wimp, Johnny. But
I guess I am a wimp then, because I'm all about those puffs, my friend.
Yeah, they're the little, like, thin, kind of looks like a wand from Harry Potter. Or a wand, the wand from Willow.
Yes. Use the wand, Willow. By the way, that new show Willow looks really good. I'm very excited to see it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, the character development to this is good. I think it's very well laid out for kind of a children's family type movie.
Yes.
Where you get to see the different things. Who is it? Johnny with his dad not being there, always on business, and he's like, oh, I just want my dad to be there.
There's so many characters that I think it does a pretty decent job of that, considering. Yeah, I really love the forming of the actual team, where they're going around and they're kind of recruiting them as they're walking down the train tracks, and they're adding to their team. Probably my favorite one of those where Rick Moranis is talking to the kid on the mechanical horse. And he's like, hey, do you like football? No. Do you want to play football? No. Perfect. You'll be great on our team. And he plays on the team.
I think that's one of the most underrated sports montages in history. I mean, it's no Rocky montage, but the fact that these group of misfit kids that some of them want to play, some of them are just like, I guess I'll do it, something to do. Yeah. Get together and just walking down the train tracks, like you said, and then all of a sudden one comes in, and then all of a sudden the other comes in, and how they do it, and especially the toe with the nothing but glass, and he just straight breaks the window, and they're like, "Yeah, you can be our kicker."
and probably one of the greatest kids in a kid movie ever. Jake, the little kid with glasses. Oh man, that kid's incredible. He still makes me laugh now. It's so dang funny.
I love the mother. I think that's one of my favorite things with the overprotective mother, where she's like,
yeah.
I had to lay it. It took us 13 years. It was my fault. Like, she just laid everything out.
She said everything. Like, it's like when you're having a conversation with somebody you just met, and all you say is hey, and then the next 2 minutes you get their whole life story, and all you said was hey to start the conversation. Like, she had it all set out and prepared, ready to go. I feel like I guarantee you that's not that she, like, to the point where he was not the first person she said all that to upon first meeting.
No. I'm pretty sure she's that lady in the grocery store that lays it all on the line to the cashier when they're like, okay, that'll be like $18.50, and she's like, this is my son Jake. I had to lay on my back for 9 months because if I rolled over, I could have lost him. Just like the whole story all over again. Like, she has a script.
Yeah,
and that she goes off of.
That whole scene's great because that's when like the all the kids are getting all the obviously old hand-me-down pads and stuff. There's a Darth Vader helmet in there. There's one kid puts the cup on his face, and Rick Moranis is like, I don't think that goes there. But the favorite part is when you get introduced to Jake, and after his mom says all this, he goes, "My shrink told her I need to get out more."
Yeah. Well, even when he comes to even when he goes to like practice and he's like completely rolled up in that foam, and he's like, my mom said the pads that you gave me are not the best, and they just start like pushing him around.
There's a very underrated scene too when they're practicing where obviously the one kid can't catch anything but toilet paper. That's like a big deal. So this is after they find what's the Junior, yeah. After they find Junior, who was originally going to be Jonathan Taylor Thomas, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah, he was up for it and didn't get it.
I like that.
I like JTT, but I think they casted that right.
No offense to him, but I think this sounds like such like a scout football type person. I think he's a little bit too short.
Yeah,
quarterback.
It's all right. He got to be Simba, so that's a pretty good consolation prize there. So of course, so when he's throwing to the kid, he throws him toilet paper and he catches it. And then Rick Moranis is holding a football and he goes, from now on, we're going to play with this. And it's the toilet paper. And then he hands the football over to this other kid and goes, here, put this in the bathroom.
You're going in there and you just got a football and you're like, what am I going to do with this? I think the coolest part about him though too is, I know we're probably not in the game, is the whole stick 'em thing.
Yeah,
because there was actual football players back in like the 70s until they outlawed stick 'em.
Yeah,
that would like coat their forearms, their hands. There was one guy, Lester Hayes. The guy had it on his sock, and I remember my dad telling me that like people would just like throw a football, they'd hold up their arms, and would just stick to them to see like just stick there, not even like catch, just stick to their forearms. So to see the stick 'em thing was kind of cool. Like Fred Biletnikoff that did it, he had a guy on the sidelines that would just hand him would put pieces of gum in his mouth because he could not touch anything because of the stick 'em.
Oh man, there's all kinds of just great lines in this. Somebody call 911. That's a great line. That's it. I'm leaving the country. I'm going to New Mexico. That's another great line. After they get their jerseys and they're already scared, and they're talking about it's got your name on the back, so the guys in the morgue can identify our bodies
for dust shrouds.
But my absolute favorite, and I laugh so hard, is you get to see the Cowboys huddle, and it's like a very football awesome huddle, and then you go over to the little Giants, and they go, Giants, help us, God.
The one that really got me line wise, and I made a note kind of like what you did, was when the mayor comes in and he's talking to Kevin O'Shea, and he's like, we got a turd in the punch bowl. I was like, that is awesome. What a way to say that there is the problem, or somebody's like causing a problem, there's a turd in the punch bowl.
There's a turd in a punch bowl.
I'm going to use that every day. I'm gonna just say it. When my kids start acting up, my wife's gonna be like, "What's wrong?" There's a turd in the punch bowl.
I got to figure out how I can use Giants, help us God, so I can just say it a lot. It's just such a great line to me. Man, this movie is still very, very funny, Andrew.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud multiple times. I literally just got through watching it before we hit record, and I'll tell you this. When I suggested this movie, it was free on Tubi, like it was free streaming. It is no longer free. It's not on Tubi. And I was like, oh God. I was like, well, maybe I can, kind of find it on YouTube if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, it's not free on there either.
Oh, because it's not macking me. Okay, this is
That's right. So it's not.
Movie has
I guess it's not good enough.
Commercial.
So I was like, all right, you know what? I go for the podcast for Andrew. I'll plop down $4. And after watching this movie again, I'm not even mad about it because it's such a great movie. Oh man, I love this movie. Let's talk about that the ultimate football game here.
Okay, because there's some other stuff, but the last game. So they're deciding who is going to represent the town of Urbania. I like how it's in Ohio. I didn't realize that was in Ohio, but I do like it because football was created in Ohio, Canton.
So so this is a small town. Mm-hmm. They're obviously very proud of Kevin O'Shea. They kind of like he's the reason. I mean, he's even the reason some of the families apparently moved there.
Do you have anybody in your town?
Technically, there's a city. Well, I'm using that term loosely. It's big though, called Hickory, North Carolina. That is not too far from me, and it's the home of Jeff Jarrett. No, not Jeff Jarrett. Oh God, Dale Jarrett. I get my Jarrett's confused. The NASCAR driver Dale Jarrett, and that was our big claim to fame. It was him. And there's a baseball player who was born not too far from me. He went to like a competing high school. Oh God, what's his name? Madison something? Madison
Baumgartner?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, I don't follow baseball very well.
He's not too shabby. He's good. So because it got me thinking of this because I know we've talked before. Probably the biggest athlete out of my hometown is Johnny Flynn, where his biggest claim to fame is he is the pick before Steph Curry.
Yeah. Yes.
That's his claim to fame. He was picked in the draft. Other than that, we have James Starks, who has a Super Bowl ring with the Packers, but I think maybe Johnny Flynn may be a little bit bigger.
Well, I mean, this is because I know basketball. Johnny Flynn's the one I've heard of.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
I think at this point in time, everybody's heard of Johnny Flynn.
Well, that's a good segue. That like before we get to the game, of course, the NFL was very much in on this movie as it was being made, as to the point where some NFL players and a certain video game icon show up in this movie on a bus.
Yes, I like all of them. Okay, they're all great, but looking back on them, you got John Madden.
Yeah, that's the one. I knew that one. I'll tell you the two that I knew.
Who are the two that you knew?
John Madden, obviously, I know because of video games, and a certain Emmitt Smith, I obviously had heard of.
Okay,
yeah.
So you got John Madden, highest winning percentage of all time out of any head coach in the NFL, probably one of the greatest announcers of all time. And then, like you said, you got Emmitt Smith, the NFL's leading rusher of all time. I don't know if it's because I'm from Western New York. I thought maybe you might say Bruce Smith. But
no, never. Sorry.
All-time sack leader Bruce Smith played for the Buffalo Bills and in Washington. So you're looking at right now. You're looking at Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame running back, Hall of Fame defensive end. Tim Brown, very good wide receiver for the Los Angeles Oakland Raiders, whichever one they were at that time period. Hall of Fame, and then you have Steve Entman. Steve Entman is probably regarded as one of the biggest busts in NFL history.
Oh wow!
So
which one was he?
He was the guy that Zoltek knocked over. He's the 80% physical, 40% mental type guy.
Yeah, yes.
He is regarded as one of the biggest busts in NFL history.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So,
At least he was fun in this movie.
he was the first pick in the 1992 draft, and he didn't do anything.
Well, this movie came out in 94, so he would have just been, when they were making this, probably 93.
Yeah.
He was probably still on the up and, and they didn't know he was a bust yet. So,
yeah, he just was always hurt. I think there were steroid allegations against him too. But
I mean, that's sports in general.
but I do like it how they bring him in and they teach him, the intimidation, the mental part of the game, and everything else. So that was, I think that's always the cool thing whenever you watch some of this stuff is you get to see stars or of that, of that league or anything like that. I know the Sandlot didn't really have it, but that was still cool.
The Sandlot did in a way. I mean, Babe Ruth was a major part of it.
Yeah, but
the great Bambino himself.
It wasn't like Babe Ruth, but I know what you're saying. And then also Mighty Ducks, I think like Mike Madonna was in there. And he was like,
oh yeah.
He's probably regarded as the greatest American-born hockey player of all time.
Yeah, but he's no Wayne Gretzky.
No, he's the American. He would almost be the American version of Wayne Gretzky,
but just slightly under that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we're gonna go all the way through every NHL player, he's down low. But America-born.
There we go.
He's there. He's like
number one, baby.
Yeah, he's like our Wayne Gretzky. And then like I remember Rookie of the Year seeing like Barry Bonds and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the steroids got him, or I'm air quoting steroids because it's allegation. But I think that was kind of a cool hype thing.
I think so too.
To see it in there before the big game and get them going. And I think the montage even kind of before the big game where they're getting ready and the toes got the eye black and he's just going nuts with it and he's just got like a beard and he's going to
just cover
and everything else.
Yeah, the montage of the kids the night before the game is really great. All of them. But that scene I was thinking about that scene where like you have multiple really famous football players showing up, and like if I was really in the NFL, I would really mark out over that. It reminded me of like some of my favorite stuff in the original Space Jam is the other basketball players, because I love basketball. Charles Barkley, a big Charles Barkley fan, and obviously number one Charlotte Hornets fan right here. And I had Muggsy Bogues and Grandmama Larry Johnson in the same movie. I was in basketball heaven for that. So I'd imagine that'd be the same way if I loved the NFL growing up watching this.
If we ever do that movie, I will probably go on a rant because one of those players are not like the others. If you get my drift, if you think of who all the players were in there, one of those players are not like the other. Kind of like the whole Steve Ettman thing.
I don't know. I can make a case for all of them, honestly, but it's because I'm a giant basketball nerd.
I like basketball. I just can't make a case for the other guy.
I'm trying to decide which one you're thinking of. Let's just go ahead
and say it.
Yeah, say it.
Sean Bradley.
That's who I thought you were thinking of.
I don't get it.
By the way, Sean Bradley, terrible what happened to him. But at the time, honestly, he was obviously very recognizable, 7'6" or something like that. He did block a lot of shots. So and I think he's Mormon, so all that makes him stand out. A really tall white Mormon.
That's something you see every day.
Rest my case. All right, I think we can get to the football game now.
The football game. They're riled up. The Giants are riled up. They're banging on there. I kind of like that. They're messing up the Cowboys during the prayer and everything else.
Yeah, they're talking a lot of junk that just on paper, there's no way they can back it up.
No. And they go out there and they get destroyed, which you would imagine in any of these movies.
Right. That's how those movies should be. The first half, they're getting destroyed. That's how it should go.
So they're getting destroyed. They're getting knocked over. Spike takes off Jake's head. He like wiggles it into the helmet.
That's a great scene.
Yeah, that was great. Zoltek, when the kid told Zoltek that he's gonna have him
farting out his mouth, and talking out his butt.
Yeah.
He
and then
does.
he does, and they're like, oh, I guess it is possible. Not like, is this kid okay?
Yeah.
No. It's all. What I didn't understand is one play, it took one kid to take down Spike. Okay. This
happened. Yeah, I know where this is going. Yeah.
This is in the first half. So Spike takes off, he runs, he gets taken down by one player.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
who was that player?
Nobody knows.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
because they've established the Icebox is the one out of all the kids who would be the one to take him down, and she's a cheerleader at this point, so she's not even on the field.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like the other one would probably be Junior, but Junior's nowhere near him. It's number 46. You can barely see the back of his jersey, and yet he takes him down with ease.
Yeah, it's a great looking tackle.
Yeah, and then the next play, it takes like 10 of them to get down.
Yeah. Yes.
Where was the 46 again? Was he being blocked? Is he like
very inconsistent?
Sipping Gatorade. But other than that, that was probably my only problem or thing that I saw. But they're getting destroyed, and I love it when they're going to the locker room and they're complaining like, I can't feel my leg.
Yes.
Is my spine sticking out of my back? Like just from getting beat up. And then I think it's probably one of the most inspirational speeches ever. I
was about to say that. I love this halftime speech because Rick Moranis doesn't even like take it all over. He kind of sets up for the other kids to start bringing in that one time that they won against their brothers or sisters and stuff. And so that's how you do it. Like he's installing this belief that, hey, it just takes one time, and it's true. Just one time. One time we can be heroes.
You know what? It's funny too when I listen to that speech. Matt and I, when I was doing the 2-point conversation, we interviewed Stephen Baker of the New York Giants, and he played in Super Bowl 25 against the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills were heavily favored. And he kind of told us that in a way. It was like just one time. He was like, if we would have played them 9 more times after that, we would have lost. But it was just that one time. We just had to do everything really well that one time, and we won, and they ended up winning that Super Bowl.
I mean, that happens. That's one of the great things about sports, right? Is that you can have just that one time where the underdog, the team that you don't expect to win, wins, and it's a huge deal. I mean, it happens in the college basketball tournament all the time. I still definitely remember when the Toronto Raptors beat the 76ers off of that wild Kawhi shot that touched every part of the rim before going in. It's so much drama just in one shot, and they would go on the win because of that. So that happens all the time. That's one of the things I really love about sports. And this movie does a really good job of setting all this up because they're down by like 20 something points at the half. I think it's 21 or 24-0, something like that going into halftime.
21.
Yeah. And so the second half is a totally different story. They come out, they're really pumped. There's a lot of great stuff here. You mentioned the Johnny character. I do have one small complaint here, and it's just a small one because I obviously love the scene where his dad shows up. I mean, how can you not feel for this kid? Yeah, it's very touching. But in real life, there's no way that a parent that's just showing up is going to show up running into the end zone of a game that's happening currently.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because even I was like, isn't there like a gate entrance? I go to a lot of like my kids play sports. There's no way like my son's playing football right now. I have to go through a gate, and then there's another gate, and there's normally like almost like a security guard, and sometimes you even need a field pass to actually get onto the field.
And he's also just come off of his trip because he's still got his suitcase.
And he doesn't. I don't know. I think I might have gone home first.
Yeah,
after a long trip, I'm like, I need to go home. At least set down this stuff.
Yeah,
and then
but man, it's such a great scene though. Like I overlook it because it's the main reason for that scene is I'm like, okay, I'll forgive it because of that. You feel so good for that kid that his dad actually showed up for him.
I love it when he's in the huddle and they're like, chicken little flea flicker on 3. What is that? It's a pitch to Johnny.
Yeah.
pitch to Johnny.
That's how I felt when I played football.
I'm Johnny.
I related to that in football so hard. I've always been a big dude. And when I was in high school, I love basketball. And honestly, at one point, I was actually pretty good at basketball. And I was an inside and an outside player. I could shoot the three pretty good, but I was really gangbusters on the inside because I'm big and really good passer. I'm just really singing my praises here. But because of my size, the head football coach of our high school was constantly talking to me, right? He's like, hey, I need you. Like, hey, man, you try. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I know I look like it, but I am not good at football because I just wasn't good. I just wasn't something I was into. I would play with friends and stuff like that, obviously, but I was not good. Only thing I could do is if you gave me the ball, I was slow, but I was so big that it'd take a lot to take me down. And that was literally the only thing I could do. Kind of, like that one scene where Spike's dragging the whole team.
Yeah.
That was kind of me. If everybody is smaller than me, but if you're playing football, there's going to be people just as big as you. And that's what I was trying to tell him. But I got so many free lunches because he would buy my lunch.
I know.
Try to butter me up.
From trivia, it was 5.
Yep. 5. I got 5 free lunches because of that.
5.
Even though I was very upfront with him, saying, man, I'm just telling you. I was doing him a favor telling him no. So I related to that Johnny kid so much.
That makes sense. And then I think, before that is when Junior gets hit. We talked about that, where Spike needs to go out and hit him, or he's going to have to donate one of his kidneys to his grandma.
Yeah, his dad was very, very into, and really into the game, like a win at all cost type guy.
Yeah,
and that sets up, the
Willis Reed moment. I think it was Willis Reed type moment when you see Becky throw down the pom-poms.
Yeah.
Go from Becky to the ice box.
And I like that line because she can't play. She's truly and he's like, no, that's my niece and she's pissed.
And Rick Moranis calls her Becky and she's like, don't call me Becky. Call me Icebox. And then Junior calls her Icebox and don't call me Icebox. Call me Becky. That's another thing I want to bring up at the end of this too, as well. Kind of like question mark going on.
Yeah,
is a relationship thing, but
yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
But she comes in, and I think that's where the game changed.
Obviously, yeah, she changes the game herself. Obviously, I mean, they set up at the very beginning of the movie. She was good enough. She was by far one of the better players, even on the other team. So, so they set that up right off the bat. And all through this movie, I had forgotten about this. Like I definitely remember that her mom was never in the picture, but I couldn't remember why. And they actually say it a couple of times. She leaves them. She left them. Yeah.
Can I applaud them for that? Because in most movies, it's just so easy to go to like the death of a parent.
Yeah. Yes.
It's sad. I know it's not a real movie. It's sad either way, but I almost preferred like the leaving.
Yes,
because it kind of adds to the Rick Moranis character that he's
raising her the best he knows how, that type of thing. Yeah,
and then that he's a little bit different, and maybe she was like, "Oh, I'm sick of this thing." He owns this crappy gas station and everything else, so that's like why she left.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed that. But the game definitely changes when Becky gets in there. You got a lot of great lines here. Don't you be talking about my mama. There's another good one right before, he tackles and his mom goes crazy on the sidelines. That's such a great scene. So of course, I think they've tied the game, right? They stop them at the 1 yard line in a great play, but then they got to run perhaps the greatest play in any sports movie in general, I think. Right, it's got to be up there, right, as one of the most memorable plays.
The annexation of Puerto Rico.
That's right.
The fumble. I that's probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Just like when it happens, and Kevin and Ed O'Neill's just on the sideline, just yelling "Fumblerooski, Fumblerooski, Fumblerooski," and seeing Zoltek just going down and listening to him breathe, going, And I'm like, dude, that would be me right now. And
Oh,
even
100%. Yeah, me too.
and
Don't you
even
worry
when
about it. Yeah.
even when I was younger, at certain points, that would have been me if I would have had
Yeah.
to try and go 99 yards down the field. Going,
Yeah. If I'm going like five, back then, if I was going like 5 to 10 yards, okay. But 99 yards, no, sir.
and there's no one around you, but yet
Yeah.
you're still like, ah, ah. I think the funniest thing was my dad would call it when somebody was breathing like that, he would call it that they were sucking in donuts.
Yeah. Yes.
That's all I could think about whenever I see somebody breathing like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can understand that because this is how you just sound, like you're just like you can't get enough air at all, and you could like just really suck in a donut into your mouth.
But they do a really good job of this movie where all the kids get kind of a hero moment.
Yes,
And I really like that part of it too. And of course they win. That play works out. They get really lucky because that play kind of gets broken up. And they get lucky that they still win. But it's a win, man. It only takes one time.
Yeah. And then they join teams. And
well, here's my question about the ending. The very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, actually, at the beginning of the movie, when you meet the kids, the brothers as kids, and he doesn't get picked, but his older brother's like, "Hey, one day our names will be on that water tower," and then it's just his name on the water tower. And so, the very end of the movie, Rick Moranis is like, "Well, we don't have to do the thing where I take over your business, but there is one thing." And they cut to that water tower, and it goes from the home of Kevin O'Shea to the home of the O'Shea brothers. And I kept thinking, is this town really going to change the tower because of this Pee Wee football game? When the other guy, if you're being serious, the other guy is,
I think,
is definitely well more known.
Yeah, but it's such a small town.
I get it. Like I get it.
Be that big, like, because even like one of the things I wanted to touch on was the old guys in the restaurant.
Oh yeah, the ones making bets and stuff.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my friend and I, we would walk to like McDonald's, and if it was kind of mid-afternoon, there was always the set of the old guys at McDonald's, never ordered food, just sat in one section. There'd probably be about 5 or 10 of them, and they just drink coffee. And those guys reminded me of that. And they would complain about everything.
Yes,
they would talk to you.
This has got to be like everywhere in the country, because I have those same memories. Sunday mornings when I was a kid, my grandparents would pick me up and take me to church, but we'd always stop at Hardee's for breakfast. We have Hardee's down here instead of a Carl's Jr. We have Hardee's, and every time it never failed, to the point up to, I haven't been there in a long time now, but even the last time I was there for breakfast is the same thing. And it didn't matter which Hardee's, it was every Hardee's. There's a couple of Hardee's down here. There was always a group of old men in a corner, and there was at least 5 to 6 of them. And they were just sitting there reading newspapers, drinking coffee, talking to each other. Never failed.
No, that's what these guys remind me of. And if you think about it, they're the biggest kind of like shit disturbers, troublemakers in the whole entire movie.
Yeah, because they're the ones that called both coaches about Spike. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they were like, we have nothing to do. And that's why they remind me of those guys at McDonald's. Like,
yes,
I get it. You're retired. Do what you want to do in life. But that's all they did was, even when I worked at Burger King, and when I worked in the morning, every day, there'd be the person, they come in and they get their cup of coffee and they would just sit in one section and they would sit there. And some of them were really cool. And some of them were like they looked down on you because you worked at a fast food restaunt.
Right.
And some of them were like, hey, and they talk to you about everything going on. But those guys definitely remind me of that. They were just troublemakers. Like if they didn't hype this up so badly, that would have been really that big of a deal. And maybe they were like the one guy that was hoping that the Little Giants were going to win. Maybe he kind of pushed the water tower thing. Like, oh, okay. This is their trophy. I know the teams are going to combine and everything else, but this is their trophy, is this water tower of the O'Shea brothers.
Yeah, they don't really give you a conclusion, but they set up like, Rick Moranis asks Ed, hey, what has there ever been a such thing as 2 head coaches? Like, if the first head coach doesn't know as much about football, and he goes, I'll get back to you, but he's smiling about it. Do you think that he joined? I do. I think he joins.
I think he joins, and it's I don't think it's so much of a co-head coach. I think it's more like it's Kevin's team, but
Yeah.
Danny plays some sort of role in it.
Yeah.
It's like a good cop. I think it's more of a good cop, bad cop thing.
I'd see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Because that was we talked about it with Ed O'Neill and the Kevin O'Shea character is the layers of there is he has this tremendous image to uphold in this small town.
Yeah.
He is the town hero. He is the golden goose. He is what the town is known for. And so maybe a lot of his decisions aren't so much good for everybody, but what he feels he needs to do to keep up his image.
Yeah.
Like keep his pride, his ego alive, and also make sure that everybody in the town knows how great he is because he's telling the story and he changes. And even the old guys were like, wasn't it like 15 minutes or wasn't it like this? Wasn't it that? And he keeps on changing his story. The fish always keeps on getting bigger. And I think that's one of his things is that he's so embedded into that he can't. Here we go, philosophical on a family movie, but he's so embedded into that he doesn't know anything different. And this movie could have not even been made if he would have been like, listen, I want to give every kid a chance. But he was so intensely into winning that he didn't care about the other kids. He just wanted all the best kids to win. Not even saying, hey, we'll just put you on the team and you can practice and we'll get you in a couple of plays or something like that. He was just, no, this needs to be the image that I project.
Right. Yeah.
To
I mean, there's definitely
side of him.
There's definitely ego involved with him, but at the same time, like I started thinking, this is the first time I ever thought about this with that character, and so I'm glad I watched it again as I'm hurling toward 40. But I was watching it and just thinking, just all these sides of this character I never noticed before. All the scenes he has with his niece that are pretty great. He goes, when she goes, do you think I'm pretty? He goes, no, I think you're beautiful. That's a great moment. So they're showing these sides of humanity that he obviously has. He's not just a complete jerk the whole time. And you can tell he actually does love his brother, but part of me thinks that this town has held him up to such high regard because he's obviously the only thing that they have as like a hero, sort of, and all kinds of signs pointing to that about him, that maybe he feels like he has to win and stuff, or he's letting the whole town down, that type of thing, right? His image does mean something, not only to him, but to the town, because they've kind of put everything on that, right? So that's a lot of pressure.
I mean, even if you look at it, the family that he has, the wife, that's prototypical.
She's great though, by the way.
Yeah. Like the way that she looks, the personality does, like she's very vocal about things.
Yeah.
But the blonde hair and everything else, like typical trophy wife, 2 blonde hair kids, car dealership, everything else. Like he just feels like he needs to project this image, and his wife calls him out on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But even when he goes through the window, I think that was a pride and an ego thing. Like, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Like Kevin O'Shea knows how to, and then he ends up making a big giant, fool.
And then the very next day he gets arrested for being a peeping Tom. So
exactly, and he makes front page. Local hero gets arrested.
Yeah,
but nobody. I wonder whatever happened with that. Like, did they go to court or?
I guarantee the charges were dropped because the one who called him was his own brother. And man, see, I don't even think he even realized truly that it was how Rick Moranis felt, right?
Yeah.
Because he just wasn't thinking about that, for better or for worse. But it's obvious that they cared about each other. I mean, they were family. There were just a lot of issues they had to work out.
I think it was an image thing. It was more.
Oh yeah.
It was just 100%, image. How any, I want to feel for you. I want to include you, but
but I have to win because it's me.
Yeah. I have to be this town's hero. This town
Yeah.
looks at me and everything else. Like even the speech he gives when he sells the car about howling at the moon, like you get
Yeah.
married and you buy your first Chevrolet and everything else.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But
What was the other? You wanted to bring something up.
I think that was pretty much that. Was just that
his image, yeah.
And the old guys was just the whole because watching it again is just one of those things where I enjoy doing this because you watch it as a kid, you see the kid things.
Yeah. Yes.
As an adult, you're like, yeah, okay, I get what's going on a little bit more, but I'm still enjoying the kid things. But I'm starting to see the iceberg of Kevin O'Shea.
Yeah, yes. That's one thing I'm with you. That's one thing I'm really loving going back and watching these movies from my childhood is you're getting to actually see it from a different perspective in a way because you've grown up and it's not just about, the kids anymore. It's like, it's the full thing there. I mean, obviously overall it's the kids are one of the main reasons to watch this, but the heart of this movie and the main real plot of this movie is the relationship between these two brothers.
Yeah.
As adults. So, one being obviously the underdog who, as he said himself, put himself on the bench for his life.
Yeah.
And he didn't want those kids to do the same thing. So it was really important to him.
That was great.
That really hit me. So, man, I can't. Are you ready to give what we reviewing this movie out of?
I don't even know. I'm gonna do go-karts because I really like the go-kart in this.
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, by the way, she could have totally murdered those boys on their bikes on that go-kart. What she was doing.
Did you relate to any player like or anybody in this movie? Like if you could like put yourself into that role.
That's what I was thinking about because we try to do that on this show.
Yeah.
As I was watching this, I'm a big dude, so obviously, the eating and farting kid. But man, the only sport that I was ever remotely good at was basketball. And because of my size, I was never the first one picked. And that always bugged me because I felt I was really good. And but then I always had that chip on my shoulder. So when I got to play, I really tried to show them, hey, you could have picked me. That kind of thing. I always was like that. But if we played any other sport, there were times where I was one of the last ones picked. And even though deep in my soul, they were right to do that because I just wasn't good at other sports for whatever reason. Except for like putt-putt, but that's that's a mini golf thing. That's just me by myself. Yeah. But I was definitely not the first on anyone's list to pick for football or anything that required to be speedy or athletic or anything like that. Because my body just didn't do that stuff unless for whatever reason, I just got basketball. Like the second I discovered basketball, it just felt like I was meant to know this thing, right? Like it just felt like it was supposed to be a part of me. And, but that was the only sport like that. All the other ones, I definitely felt these kids and not being picked for things. I think everybody has that to some extent.
Yeah.
There's something that you weren't picked for that you loved, that you wanted to be picked for, and you just weren't. So that underdog thing is definitely something that I can really relate to. So I'm going to say that I think my soul wise, I'm probably a Rick Moranis character, honestly, just because he obviously had that chip on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But he himself said that because he didn't get picked a few times, he put himself on the bench. And I've definitely done that when it's come to some things because, well, somebody either told me they didn't like this one thing that I tried once, I was like, well, I just ain't going to do it again, even though I probably could have loved it. So I think that's who I related to the most was his character.
Yeah, that was me too, just because I'm the younger brother. And my older brother was a lot more, projection, like, oh, he's really good at this. And then like me, where I love sports, but I kind of like to do my own thing.
Yeah.
The things like, and my brother was like in Little League, he was good. And I was just like, this is something to do. I just do it because I love it. And if I'm good at it, I'm one of those people where if I like it, I'm going to do it, no matter if I'm good or bad at it. I suck at video games. I know this, But
Oh,
yeah,
I do too. But I mean, I have a podcast about.
Yeah. we do. Did we need this? And then we talk about how bad we are again. But I think that's one of the things. Like, as long as you love it, you should just care about it. And my brother was a lot more, I think, intense when it came to things.
Yeah.
Like, I hate Venom because of my brother, because he used to like pin me down on the ground and wave his tongue and drip spit in my face and go, "I'm Venom." So I hate Venom.
I get it. Yeah.
Because of my brother. But I think that's the biggest thing. And I did remember what I was going to talk about.
Okay.
The relationship thing. So
Yes.
Becky likes Junior.
Yes.
Danny likes Patty. How is that going to work out if Patty and and Danny get together?
That I thought about that too. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the writers really got into that one all that much. Like,
Yeah.
you should
Well,
have
maybe they thought like it's just a kid crush that almost never goes anywhere. But
yeah.
I mean, they were at the age where they were making fun of a couple they saw kissing. So
Yeah.
That's a good point though. I did think about that, especially that first scene where like they're going to Junior's house and that's when he discovers who Junior's mom is. I thought about that right away. I was like, oh man, I forgot about this. It's like, but they both like somebody in the same family. It's kind of weird.
So I'm not quite sure how that dynamic will work out, but
strange.
Back to the rating. So I'm gonna go go-karts because I thought the go-kart was awesome. I
like it.
And I never had a go-kart.
Same. I used to go to my buddy's house because he had like multiple four-wheelers and I loved riding those things.
My favorite picture is Andre the Giant on the three-wheel house.
Yes.
It's like my favorite Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
But I am going to give this, based on what I know as a kid and as an adult wise, and I think this is a wonderful movie, definitely for kids to watch. Just the story behind it, everything else. I'm going to give it 4 golf carts. Just because I would give it 5 or 4.5, but just because the last thing we talked about with the whole Patty, Danny.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Becky, that it loses a go-kart in this situation.
Yeah. Rewatching this movie that I loved as a kid and I probably hadn't seen in a decade easily. I'm very happy to report that this movie for me still holds up. I still loved it. We talked about it before. I was picking out stuff about it that I hadn't noticed before because I'm older now.
Yeah.
And I love it when movies do that. There's really not a lot in this because a lot of these movies from this era, there's parts where aren't going to fly today, sort of thing. And I think overall this one is fine. Actually, I didn't really have any parts that really stood out to me for being like, well, they couldn't do that today.
Like,
that type
whoa,
of thing. Yeah, because most of the humor was very goofy.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And I laughed out loud a lot at this. I gotta agree with you. This is easily a 4 to 4.5 go-karts out of 5. I'll go with 4 just to make it uniform with you because I do agree that relationship thing is weird and obviously something they would have to work out. That type of thing. Because that is really strange. But man, I think this is a great movie today for kids and for parents. Like there's those movies that are obviously just for kids and parents just kind of have to slog through it. But this is one of those where I think where both the parent and the kid can both enjoy this thing.
Oh yeah, and the message in this is outstanding for just an underdog story. Just outstanding.
Yeah, it just takes one time, man. Just one time.
One time. I'm so putting up that speech because the Dolphins are playing the Bills and the Bills look absolutely amazing, and I just want the Dolphins to win against the Bills. And just give me.
I tell you what, this football season, I've really because of these podcasts that we do, most of the people that me and you know are up in Buffalo Bills country.
Oh yeah,
and I've become pretty good friends with quite a few of them who are obviously big Buffalo Bills fans, and that's all I'm seeing on my Facebook timeline now. And I don't want to be mad because I want my friends to be happy, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pull for the Dolphins on that one. I'm just going to let you know.
Try living there.
Matt tells me about it all the time.
Yeah, being the Matt's got it actually a little bit easier than what I did because he's a Colts fan.
Yeah.
I am a Dolphins fan. They're probably
Right, yeah.
the biggest rivals. And my mom bought me a sweatsuit one time at J.C. Penney's when I was a little kid, and she literally got chased out of there.
Well, they haven't been relevant since Ace Ventura. So,
hey, Dan Marino was amazing in Ace Ventura. I bring that up all the time.
Yeah. That's a movie, though. By the way, there's a lot of parts that they couldn't do today.
No. My dad took me to that to see the movie there because of Dan Marino was in it.
I get it. He's actually a major part of it. So
yeah.
But yeah, Little Giant still holds up. Really, really love this one. Man, this is again, like I said, I had to pay $4 for a movie that came out 20 years ago just to rent it, and I'm not even mad about it. That's how good this is.
I think you get it for about 48 hours too. I might actually watch it again. So
I'm going to get my $4 worth. That's for sure.
But there you have it. And remember to catch new episodes of Let's Talk But No Politics Okay every Sunday on the BICBP Radio Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check out the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. And with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Giants, help us, God.